And welcome to the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. Nathan Guerra here. Dave Towle next to me. We are out on the 2018 UCI World Short Lap today for race number 6 in this season. Dave, so far today we've seen some crazy times set over the top of that Innsbruck KOM, and it's made for some very, very difficult racing. We've seen amazing performances, actually, especially amongst the women's crowds. And we're about to jump right down into the women's East race in just a moment. I think we'll see something similar as some of the top teams in the A Division 1 are going to be battling it out in front of us.
This has been absolutely amazing. It's a launching pad for riders out here as far as even in the men's race, but more so the women's side of things. We've seen a couple of gaps from solo riders to diminished pelotons go out to upwards of 2 minutes with winning times over a minute. Quite incredible. We'll talk about those rides out here. The hardest climb that we've seen, Nathan, in ZRL history, I'm saying with a question mark at the end of that, it's 500 meters of climbing today over the course of really about, that all happens in what, 6 kilometers of racing out here? As I'm kind of mentally picturing that all of that climbing happens in the middle part of the race. It's a steep descent, but there's actually a lot of flat. In a 24K race, to have 500 meters of climbing with a significant amount of flat in that race tells you how hard the climbing is. And man, launch pad, not a bad word for what we've seen some riders do out here today.
Definitely launch pad about to take place as the ladies are approaching. We'll get a replay of their initial slopes of the climb. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Cy Bradley had to say about the course out there today for his little course recon.
Hey Zwifters, welcome to Innsbruck for stage 6, the final stage before we move on to the semi-finals and the finals of the Continental Trophies. 24 kilometers in total, just shy of 500 meters of elevation. So as we roll through this start-finish banner, sadly, you're going to be picking up no power-ups today, but we do have 2 time segments. One 15 to 30 minute climb dependent on your category, and then 1 sprint segment right at the end of the course. But first we're going to take on this, the Innsbruck KQOM 7.5 kilometer climb. There are places to attack and there are places to sit in the wheels on this climb, but the final 500 meters are fairly flat, so if you've still got some people around you with sprinters legs, you want to make sure you drop them before this point. First across the line and the fastest through segment on this climb. We're then going to descend back towards Innsbruck before we hit the leg snap in this 500 meter power climb before we take the right hand turn at the top and head towards that sprint segment. We've then got a short undulating descent towards this sprint segment. First across the line and the fastest through available here. But what I love about this sprint, it's so close to the finish line. So what are these riders going to do? Roll straight over the top and go for those finish line points? Or do you have the strength to pick up the segment and the finish line points? Good luck and ride on.
Let's jump right down into somehow the action as it played out early on here today as we take a look at the replay as the riders headed into for the women's race. The bottom, well, the initial little kind of prep slopes as before they even come underneath the highway. WLC immediately was on the attack, as you can see. Megan Rathwell trying to close that down. It looks like Crowd Gallopin also involved with Fiona Gallagher there, the Irish woman, chasing things down as well for Riot. Early on, things were being heated up, though, by Elliott from WLC, as you can see there. Let's jump right down into the live action as our silly cameraman, for some reason, didn't get the replays correct there. So
That poor guy or woman. Natasha Elliott is the Wahoo Lacole rider who's been super impressive, Nathan. I'm looking at her today with the 4.7 watts per kilo to be extremely good, along with the teammate, the Mexican rider, Karina Escueda on Wahoo Lacole. Their team that's really, really been slugging it out here as we take a look at. So this is a course that we haven't raced on all that often. I know that you had a chance to be out here, and your insight was really valuable, Nathan, when we talk about that electricspirit.co race that happens on Saturdays. It's happened all season, a recon race. But this is the season, and this is the 6th season in a row So, with all due respect, this is the Riot team we're talking about. Now, actually, one of the riders, Anna Russell's going to be racing tomorrow. Is she taking the start today, Nathan? I know she was on the broadcast and she's taking the night off, and that's a smart call. Unless you know something I don't. I don't see her on the start list, and I'd highly recommend she not start to rest the legs.
On this
That looks like
course
the case.
specifically, I would say that it's probably going to be one that you want to take a little bit easier.
Not
Now, the
do.
thing is that Christina Grossman has shown up, though, and I'm assuming now looking
Well,
through Claire Cameron
you
is
know,
showing up here. Evelyn Gagnon is here, so they still have a pretty solid crew showing up. And then the reality of Megan Rathwell, we've seen her on this climb actually. I'm not sure if it was a ZRL race. I think it may have been a ZRL race, or maybe just prior to ZRL. Martin's going to have to help us out here. But Megan Rathwell has been on this specific climb in broadcast, demolishing it. And I'd be watching out for her to definitely not hold anything back and looking to slay souls, I would say, here as she starts to take over toward the front end of this pack.
all right. If you take a look at this group, Nathan, I expect it'll be down to less than 8 when they hit the QOM. That's at the top of. So if we quickly, Cy does such a great job as well. Thanks for all you've done all season long, Cy. But the Innsbruck KOM, this is as selective of a climb. It's already selecting at the back. It's conducting a conductor punching tickets, to tell you the truth, as we're going to say goodbye to many quality riders out here today. I want to circle back. You were talking about Christina Grossman. Well, Christina Grossman's a tremendous example of a rider who has worked really hard. Rather than spending all of her time focusing on her strength, which used to be sprinting, she's worked to become a tremendous all-around rider. And I expect her to make the selection today. It's been tough, however. We had some Katie Loker. I don't know if you saw her comments after the race, joking about being a sprinter. She ended up 5th, but man, did she have to go through the ringer to do that. Looking at what's happening here now, Natasha Elliott. It's going to be interesting. Megan Rathwell, you predicted. I want to point out Rachel Lieberman, Nathan. She's one of the best climbers in the ZRL. There she is, tucked nicely in the group. You talked about the value of the draft. Completely agree. At 19 kilometers per hour, it is well worth it to sit in the wheels. It does have value, even at 7%. But Nathan, it's on like Donkey Kong right now as the ladies are well into the climb. Let's get stuck in, folks. This is the racing we've enjoyed all season long, the very most. The women, America's East Division 1As. It's already, I said it'd be 8. That's 8, 9, 10. All right, we're close.
Yeah, Belushki here and Roosh just off the back. It looks like Carly Johan is making this here, so it's going to make it 10 at the moment. Now, Sarah Bishop from OTR got Fiona Gallagher on her wheel. Somerset is there as well. And it's 2 seconds back to Martin. Now, every place back here matters for points on the day. So, you get dropped from this lead pack. You're like, oh, I'm out of the race. Oh, it's all about the first across the line. Not necessarily, yep. And not at all in the Zwift Racing League. The Zwift Racing League, what's awesome about it is that every single placing matters. So this little three-way battle right here matters for points. The battle behind here with WLC.
It could decide the day.
Exactly.
It could. So, Nathan, I feel like I jumped all over your table here and didn't do it justice, because I want to point out ATP Racing Stingers and Wahoo LaColle, how close it is. Whichever team gets the better of the other here today should take second place on the season. So that's big.
And they're well represented in the front of this race right now. ATP Racing Stingers have Rachel Lieberman at the front end of this race, right, as we just had pointed out. But they also have Ul Moran, and she is absolutely a beast when it comes to any kind of sprint situation. I would not want to be seeing her there at the end, because you've got these riders that they can climb, but then when it comes to the line, they also got a solid kick, and I would put her in that category. So she ends up coming to the line. Karina Squata for WLC, though, and Elliott is here as well, as you were saying. This is going to be a battle, really, WLC versus ATP 2v2, with a couple of these other variables thrown in the middle of it to see who can grab maybe points in between the two. these two teams will be looking at each other and looking to put bodies between each other, really between here and each one of the points lines that are be coming up. 3 of them, one over the top of the Queen of the Mountain, one through the sprint section after the leg snapper, and then obviously the finish line. A big day for these two teams against each other.
So this is exactly when Martin dreamt up how WTRL and working with Charlie over at ZRL, how they dreamed up this season. Meredith, Ewell, Moran, Nathan. She's the rider you were talking about, sitting right in the middle of the group here in the pink and gray jersey. That's ATP, long-standing, popular ZRL team and esports regular. Now, she could decide the whole season as far as second place for the team, having a tremendous ride here today. She's a level 50 Zwifter. And this is so you want to talk about excitement and what racing, that pressure cooker that racing creates, and why it's so different than even an organized group ride with a bunch of really fast people, Nathan. And people, even when they're trying to drop each other and, sprinting for town, it's still not this. This is the woman in the arena. And here we go. I love it. It's going to be Escueda now hitting out the first real attack. Nathan, watch the numbers get pretty close to 5 watts per kilo. Rachel Lieberman is sitting on 5 watts per kilo now as she's going to start closing down this gap. So these ladies are racing hard, but someone is going to light the fuse, and we're going to find out who the bomb really is on this climb here for our America's East women. This is a throwdown of epic proportions, and they've still got 3.2K of climbing here.
Yeah, take a look at the road ahead here. This has got the steady grind through this section, probably one of the more difficult sections of the course. This is one of the sections of the course where I would call it like the bulk of the work, where there's this steady, long grind at 7, 8, 9%, maybe a little bit more in just a moment here. It's going to kick up, and then it's going to level out. And then you've got what I would say feels like the harder part of the course, though, because you had so much work to do to get there, right? And so you have these bumps then afterward.
Yes.
Exactly. So this is where you end up using up a lot of that and get yourself into that over threshold, especially at 11% gradient, Rathwell to the front. And then you get these bumps at the end where people start attacking over the top of each and every one of these little, I would say, I think we get into a solid 10% or so, not even molehills, because you're still climbing over a mountain, but you get these reprieves in between. This is the decision maker right here. Making this section is absolutely crucial.
Is Megan Rathwell the best climber in the East? This is a great chance to prove that. I know Rachel Lieberman, if she's listening to the broadcast, would shake her head and say, no, I think I might be. Well, this is one of those beautiful moments where you get to prove it here. As we're
on paper, they're even. On paper, Karina Escueda.
Isn't that funny?
On paper, yeah. I'm looking at it right now, and Karina Escueda, Catherine Rush at
4.8 watts per kilo, right?
Yeah,
Catherine
same with Megan
monster.
Rathwell, also
That's
right
the
there.
rider,
Natasha Elliott, though, and Rachel Lieberman, 4.7. So they're all just right there. Now, what I was saying with Meredith Ulmaran, she's a 4.3, but has a 10.1 watt per kilogram sprint, right? So same.
She also might be a 4.5 when today's over, Nathan.
Exactly.
We were talking about FTPs on this climb. She's going to set a new one today, possibly.
And
dropping
I think,
riders, Nathan.
Yeah, here we go.
Riders.
Carly Johan off the back now. We've seen Karina. Now, Karina, this is not expected. Wow, WLC here with one of their top riders now starting to fall off the back. And this is the moment right here. I've been in this situation before. If you can grab back on, you get just a little bit of reprieve. Little bit of reprieve.
Something
here
happened.
Now.
Something happened there. Just maybe, is that in her head, do you think? A moment of inattention? Maybe she reached for a water bottle and slipped the pedal or something? Because she's so strong. Don't look at that as an indicator that she's struggling. I think something just happened.
I wonder.
I could be wrong.
We'll see. We'll find out in a second.
You were talking about, so she came right back into the group with gusto.
Yeah, the speed of the group might have really slowed down though at that point. Like they hit the flat, and I'm not sure anybody kept their power on at that point.
If she goes to the back again and struggles, if she goes to the back again and struggles, that tells me that she's having a tough day. I think she's okay. It's hard. It's a tough climb. 2K left, and now Megan Rathwell making her statement. But Natasha Elliott's going to jump up there. Rachel Lieberman just sitting, patient. Unlike the other races, no one rider is just riding away here, Nathan. We saw advantages up to a minute at this point already for a couple of riders today.
Yeah, and Rathwell continues to just press the pace here. It looks like she's happy to set the tempo so far. From what we can see on the left-hand side of the screen, the men are just getting out on course from the Central is what we will be covering here. And we've got across the board here, WLC, Zed Sun, Coalition are here, the Condors, as well as Absquare Finesse, Skylab are showing up. So we'll jump in with them as they get into their climb here. But the women are halfway up, and a little bit more than halfway up, actually. And Rathwell just continues to take names because Rush now from Cryogen is off the back. Karina Esqueda off the back. Carly Johan off the back. Claire Cameron
Reality
just hanging on her teammate here. ATP now with 2 up front. WLC with 1.
Okay, Nathan. Tactically, let's talk quickly. If you are the director for Riot, do you say, no, back off, don't drop your teammate here, to let her be the last rider? I think you do. I think it's not worth it to drop. And so the tactic is keep your teammate in this group for the points. Don't drop her,
because Cameron can sprint to the lineup here if she's giving. And
if you can help her get 20 seconds on those ladies, then you've given yourself a much better path to winning today.
Yeah, and over the top there, Rathwell could probably drop a couple more riders from this group at this point. But if Cameron is there, and with the nature of that flat at the top of this climb, she will have the moments needed to at least gain some energy back to do a full-on sprint. Well, maybe not full-on sprint, but a sprint to take probably top points if they drag her to the line, because she's got 12 watts per kilogram to give.
Yeah, you're not only keeping her around to get 6th place, and even if a rider or 2 rejoin, by keeping her there, Nathan, you're exactly right. She's almost a spot-on guarantee for a top 3 if this group sprints together at the finish. And you also have to remember that there is a bonus sprint before the finish, about 3K before the finish, right? So definitely, if you're Megan Rathwell, it's not worth blowing this group up just for the sake of doing it and riding, because even if Megan Rathwell could solo all the way to the line right now alone, which I don't think that even she would think was going to happen with the quality of riders like Rachel Lieberman and Natasha Elliott here, that she realizes, and she did. I honestly think that she realized, okay, not to my benefit. Let's just hold back a little bit. We've got another K on this climb, and then we're going to really enjoy having 2 riders on our team in this group. I say Claire Cameron gets a bit of a pat on the back here.
Yeah, and she's going to make this, it looks like, here. And going to be, we're seeing now, this is rough. I mean, ATP now, 1 getting dropped off. They need this rider. And you do see, I think, Rachel Lieberman, she can't let that go because the advantage then is over. And Karina Esqueda might end up with a group with her chasing down. Well, Moran, this is a tough situation here for Rachel Lieberman. Does she now? No, you don't. You don't wait up at this point at 4 seconds. If it was 1 second, maybe. But at this point, this is so much on the shoulders of the rider from ATP now. Meredith needs to try and jump across at this last little kick. And if she does so, that's going to make the huge difference for her team. 4.6. Rathwell continues to press the pace. But WLC, they're going to be the ones that are interested in this drop. And they're going to really try and take advantage, I think, at this point. Dave, I lost you there for a sec, I think. I lost you. Go ahead.
That's not really necessarily, Nathan, Rathwell's issue here to try to get rid of the ATP rider, because they're free and clear. They're not fighting for second.
Natasha, WLC,
exactly.
Though. WLC.
100%. That's what I was going to. 100% for WLC. They're loving that. Now it's going to be close, isn't it? Because WLC's only got 1 up here as well. So, and when you compare Lieberman with Elliott, those are 2 comparable riders, to tell you the truth. So this is almost sums up the season en masse right now. Two Riot riders, well, they've basically not basically, that's not the right word. They have overused word is dominate, Nathan, I think. Not by you, but I mean just that word in general in society. Well, Riot has been one of the dominant teams in ZRL racing. They've won every season. Their winning percentage is up in the over 800, and that's racing against in 10 team leagues. They win 8 out of 10 races. Basically, they've swept seasons. So Riot doing what Riot does. ATP's got a star, Rachel Lieberman, up here, and then you can see Riot with two riders. Lieberman for ATP. Cryo has a rider here, and that's going back now. It's Park that's up here. Is that correct that Park in this group?
Yeah, crowd's
Yes,
in
right
here.
there in the white and blue. So yeah, making this selection, OTR and Blushka is the rider that we haven't mentioned yet, Nathan, that I've been wanting to talk about here. This is a big ride to get up and into this selection now. And it looks like it's going to stay together here. Rathwell starting to string it out a little bit more here at this point. But I think they've survived, and it might be a group this size going to the line here.
Luski just going to come over the top, grab a couple of extra points.
Good for
Lieberman
her.
next. Cameron is still there, but there was no sprint. I thought maybe there'd be a sprint down her leg. Now look at this. Has to jump across. Crouch and Galopin going to be in trouble here. You cannot. I've gotten dropped in a matter of 5 seconds at this point. Like if you are not on a wheel, look at that. They're not even working up ahead, and she's doing 6 watts per kilogram just trying to get back on a wheel. Such a dangerous moment here. Park as well gets back on turns, but that was a major effort. Well, not a I mean, that was like
scary.
a quick little scary moment
That was
there because
scary.
you cannot let that go.
I tell you what, for folks who don't race, oh wow, and good for Park here. The cryo rider going over the top and just keeping the speed going. Now, they're really with the advantage that they've got 25 seconds on one rider. That's Moran, and then a little bit more, 10 more seconds back to another group. They're not guaranteed that they won't get caught if they don't keep pressing on. They all know that. The women behind them, there's some strong riders like Esqueda there, Carly Johan. So it's worth it to keep rolling here. This is a chase that we're looking at, the ATP rider. Another chase here.
This
So
is an
there's some
important
talent.
situation here with Meredith
These are
Unlevan because
second and third.
Well, behind her is Karina Esqueda in a group of 1, 2, 3, 4 riders. And if these 4 riders work together to bring Meredith back, that puts WLC back in the conversation, at least for the 2v2 situation we had, where she can beat an ATP rider to the line that's ahead of her currently for a good amount of points. And they are right now on the bubble on these team standings at this point. So there's still a conversation about how this is going to end up at the end of the season because ATP Racing Stingers are looking for a 2-point jump over Wahoo Lacole. They still got Karina Esqueda back here on this chase. Now, the tough part for Meredith is she's in no woman's land, having to pull this off solo now at this point to hold off that chasing group of 4, so she gets those better point situation than Karina Esqueda.
So let's just assume for that Riot wins the day, and we just break it down to straight up Wahoo Lacole versus ATP. It's going, if they tie, the team that does better today, I believe, and we can confirm this with Martin, would be considered, I guess, with this being the end of the regular season, there's a heightened sense of importance to the result on today's WTRL ZRL event. So ATP Racing Stingers here, Nathan, even though they're only 1 point back, virtually they are tied with Wahoo Lacole. And this is a huge moment now for Meredith, the rider that we've got on screen, the ATP rider. You can see behind her is Carly Johan. Karina Esqueda is that Wahoo Lacole rider. That's the bike race, folks. This is what it's all about in the ZRL. We're going to go back up and take a. So this is the group with the Esqueda. correct?
Yeah, on the
I
chase,
believe.
88 kilometers per hour. It was 54 on the flat that we'll see here in just a second. I wanted to get a quick little comparison.
Escueda just shot off the back of this group.
What is happening here? I'm not sure.
This is a nightmare. This is a living nightmare right now for the
Something
Wahoo
something
Lacole
happened
team.
here. Like full stop.
So technical issue causing massive drama at 13.1
43 seconds,
kilometers. There's
42. I
heart
mean, and
breaking.
there goes Fiona. Look at how fast Fiona just goes flying by.
Can't believe it.
She has some sort of complete dropout or something going on here.
Yeah, that certainly seems very internet based, but
now it's Clark that's the next rider from WLC that needs to pull something off here. How far up from Clark are
there
we
she
talking?
was. They just went past the position where
And she's
Escueda
still
stopped.
at a standstill. Karina is still at a standstill. Not moving. I mean, at least she can still get points finishing on the day. That would be what is best here.
In a way, it's almost like, Nathan, now I kind of say I'm kind of glad this wasn't for the outright win on the season. It's slightly lower stakes when you're talking about second place, because these ladies race so hard all season long. This would have, to have a technical issue decide it, would have been a real heartbreaking way. Still a bummer, but at least it wasn't for a
Rush is in
championship.
here saying she's glad that she's not doing. I do see all the chatter coming through, and I appreciate it.
She was fifth in her in the mixed race today.
You were in the mixed race today, Cassandra. What are you talking about? You already did it with the men earlier today, so killing it.
I believe fifth.
Yeah,
crushing
something like
it
that.
is right.
It was absolutely crushing it out there. But good to see you, Cassandra. Now,
these ladies
Meredith
are glad
here
she's
still
not
looking to
here.
hold off, though, the reality of Lauren Babineau, Poland, Martin Clark here, as well as Moraz. They're picking up bodies as they go, so their speed's not going to be slowing down. So she's still got to work for it. This isn't just a roll to the line situation.
I know it's not a world sport, but the Kentucky Derby had a horse that was an 80-1 shot that came from dead last and ended up winning. It was bananas. I mean, like, this horse was just out of its mind when it came flying through. It got blocked, it shot through, it darted over. I mean, it's like when you watch the video of this. Have you seen it, Nathan?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, so the jockey gets some credit, right? I mean, obviously the jockey plays a role here, but nowhere near the role that the horse plays, in my opinion. So in sport, anything can happen. So there's still a possibility that Wahoo Lacole, because of the points, the structure of this, that Wahoo Lacole, it's not over for Wahoo Lacole, is what I'm saying. Not that they don't need to have an 80-1 chance like Lucky Strike.
Like Lucky Strike from the
yeah, the horse.
The horse from the Kentucky Derby.
You've got to watch this,
really
Nathan.
quick here.
Okay.
I think we can go with Cheer Quad. Cheer Quad's good. That could be the new going plaid there, Kristen. So I think we're good with Quad.
Is that what they're saying out there?
It was
on
a
the East
mistake.
Coast?
It's Cheer Squad, but Cheer Quad is more than okay. Yeah, Cheer. See, I mean, even Anna's down with Cheer Quads. So, KK, I think we're good. I think we're good on Cheer Quads. So, Grossman. She is the Cheer Quad, essentially, right?
100%. You know who would have loved this course is Kolchinsky. Oh my gosh, she would have been just crushing it. I wonder if she saw any of that racing earlier today with women winning by 2 minutes, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, there were definitely some Kolchinsky type efforts being thrown down over the top of the climbs today.
Yeah.
And watch out Premier Division level. Hopefully, Discovery happening for
I hope we see this course
more competition in the future at that level. So. Looking through
Yeah.
here with the women now and the men, they need a little of their spotlight as well, as we've been really focused in. But the women are heading on over toward the Lake Snapper, and we will be able to watch that. But the upper slopes of the men's race here at this point, as it is Bruce Bird chasing down NXML with Timothy Rugg, actually, from WLC.
Cool name.
Chasing him
Cool
down
name, dude.
as well. Yeah, I like that. I like the name there.
We had another one today who turned out to be Sven. But Sven's name was a little hard for me to figure out earlier, but you got it. So this is Tim Rugg. Tim is back.
Yeah,
Nice
it's good
to
to see Tim hanging back out in the world of the Zwift racing. It's been a while since we've seen Timothy
well
Rugg.
traveled, Man of the world. He's raced all over. I believe but raced in Rwanda, raced on top of volcanoes like they did at the Giro today. So a lot of Canadian flags. Let's see what we've got here now. So Nathan, these guys obviously well into this brutal climb. Look at the meters of climbing. So it's if you watch how quickly they just tick them over here. This is a VAM, a vertical altitude in meters. You don't see it climb faster than this. So they're barely going forward at all as those meters are just ticking over. Unbelievable. They've got a less than 2K of this. There is a KOM that they're waiting for. We haven't seen a group this large all day long, Nathan. Taking a look now at our men here in the season has draft only 1 point ahead of Wahoo Lacole, and that explains a lot. Both teams going to be coming out with all guns ablazing here.
Hickford to the front, as you can see. Look at this situation between Draft and Wahoo Lacole, though. There's quite a race on.
Yeah.
They brought Timothy Rugg maybe in as a somebody to try and cover some of
ringer.
These points. Yeah,
they call
because
it. Yeah,
we see
on the
he's
softball
even in a
team
different.
they did that.
He's even in a different kit here a little bit. So Rugg, WLC, Carwile is here as well, trying to hang on at 184 beats per minute, struggling a little bit, I think, though. And I think Carwile now maybe off the back now at this point. There's absolutely Mulligan going, Rugg going as well. The teammate actually of WLC is now on the attack and putting his own teammates in a world of hurt, as you can see.
Okay, look at how it strings out now. That long, thin line of pain, this brutal and look at this. Look at this surge coming from Bruce Bird. Bruce Bird is a monster. This Canadian now is going to turn the screws like a Black and Decker here as he goes up, and over the top of Rugg. So it is on. They're about 1 point, let's call it 1.1K from the top now. It never gets easier on this. One of the feature climbs on Zwift. We're in Innsbruck. It's only 24K of racing, but this race has gone absolutely ballistic. This went from to a completely different level here. So Draft is the team in red. You know Wahoo Lacole. You can see that they're in the purple and blue. And these two teams are having a throwdown. The Condors are right there in third. Coalition Frenzy sitting just 2 points behind them. So the Condors have to watch their back. This is going to be Coalition Frenzy rider that we're looking at. Hickford moving up. Nathan, this is, again, two great races going on right now.
I'm going to jump back in with the women here in just a moment. As 5 seconds back over the top of the leg snapper, it looks like it was Park that got pushed off the back here from Griogen Gallopin, but now Rachel Lieberman taking over for ATP in the women's race. The breaks are starting to happen in the men's race. 6 second gap from Bruce Berg and Hickford back to Timothy Rugg and Warren Muir. Samuel there as well. Carwile just hanging on. Stabile. NXML. Ian Mulligan has made that as well. It looks like maybe going to all come back together once they're over the top. But let's jump back in with the ladies as they're about to hit their sprint up for some major points.
All right, yeah, let's jump in with the ladies and get stuck in now as this is it, the grand finale. It's race 6 of really season 6. We call it season 3, but let's go ahead and take a look as they fan out now across the road. This is going to be quite a showdown here. So Riot doing what Riot has done for the better part of the last 2 years. They're looking to put an exclamation point on this one. But Nathan, I love the fact that Rachel Lieberman is there. It's going to be interesting. And that's
OTR. First to go.
Good for her.
Wow, takes it to them. Wow, the OTR really stepping up here and taking the initiative against some of the top teams. But Claire Cameron, who said this,
just takes it.
It's close.
Yeah, we will have to go back. So yeah, I'm going to say that it's going to be so close. Either way, the points going only 1 point difference, Nathan, for those two ladies. So that was hard fought.
Rathwell sitting in, forcing Elliott to make the close, forcing Natasha to do it. While Rathwell sits in, Cameron up the road. Good tactics by Riot, doing what they do, and OTR getting the benefit maybe out of it. We'll see. But if Cameron just sits in and Lieberman, Cameron just sits in with Butsky, though, that's just said and done at their line, I would think. But now, will Later Lieberman counter here? That's going to be the question. Rathwell
That's a
should be able to
good
go with it.
question. I don't know that it's worth it because there's just the horsepower there, and they've got their eye on her. So and you can't attack from the front with ladies like this, anyways. It's just you're telegraphing it. So that's going to go into the box there now at 1.3K for the women. That's your front group. Really, just to focus on the story there. It's what's going to happen, not just with those ladies, but behind them to fill in the points to take second place in the season, because it certainly looks good for Wright. But let's go back to the men here as Nathan. It is a frenzy, old school fury going on right now with our men. Look at these numbers that they're throwing up, and this is going to be Abscape Finesse presented by Wolf Rider Mulligan. The points, how are they going to be distributed here? Draft gets up there for sure. That's the red. I don't think that's Bird, however. That's
Bird
it
went
is
off the
Bird.
front, and Hickford took the points from him for first over the line. Bird came through for second. I believe Muir might have just grabbed. No, Mulligan grabbed third over the line there for the points. We'll take a look at that point structure in just a second. Ladies here now into the final K. Cameron jumps really early, forces the chase, and Rathwell gets to just sit in. What a jump from Cameron, 11 watts per kilogram. I don't think anybody can even respond.
Nathan, before I throw it back to you, this is the perfect technique. This is 101 in bike race finishing by professionals. What she's done, Claire Cameron is almost guaranteed to win this race. But if she doesn't, her teammate is, because they're going to have to chase her down. And obviously, Megan can sit on that chase. So Claire Cameron playing the cards. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But it certainly looks like she's done enough. And this is Riot all year long. But how about Blushki out here? The OTR rider. She's had an incredible season.
Bushki coming for
Renate,
second.
Canadian.
Rathwell, then Elliott, followed up by Lieberman from ATP. So that's a good move there. Look, Elliott did just out sprint to the line one of the ATP riders here. So that's a couple of points.
Did you say that it was, so I know it went by very quickly, did Lieberman get third?
No, Lieberman ended up, I think, fifth there across the line. I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure she ended up fifth. Now the next one from ATP is going to be Meredith here, right?
So why we're watching is this is for second place on the season out here between Wahoo Lacole and ATP. ATP on your screen right now in the pink and black. OTR is the team in red and black, and Bishop there. But not to discount her, but their position is relatively set right now. We're in the final race of our regular season. We do have two races to talk about coming up in a week and then on the following Saturday, but we'll bring that up a little bit later in the broadcast because, Nathan, this speaks to a long, long season here and how every rider matters. It's not always about first, second, and third. Sometimes it's 8th, 9th, and 10th. This is Meredith Ullmoran, the ATP rider that Nathan's got centered up.
These points
she's
definitely
got to
matter.
On. She's got to push Carly
Johan.
Johan.
Going to do it here. Johan and even Bishop are going to come over the top. She led things out. Jumped
not
a little too early
riders,
there.
but they're taking away points from her.
They are. They are taking away. It's very important points here. Yeah, and so, but look at this gap here. They've really done themselves some favors. It looks like
also,
the next rider is going to be Clark, pretty far back down the line here. So I have a feeling perhaps ATP have made this happen today.
With fastest through segments and first across the line points, Nathan, we don't really know because at this point the points start diminishing in the race. These placings, the points start diminishing. Like F1 only scores 10 places deep. First place gets 25, but then it drops down to like 18 for second place. And, it drops way down. 10th place gets 1 point, and then no one else gets points. Out here, our points start at 40 for the first rider across the line, but there's a lot of intermediate points that you can pick up. Those come through first across the line points and fastest through segment points. So it's going to be interesting. You can always go to WTRL.racing anytime and learn more about the league and racing and what's coming up and results. Bruce Bird, right now, legend, the Canadian machine here, Nathan, and he's now over the top of the climb, 16K in. He might hit 100 kilometers per hour.
Mulligan oh, I'm sorry, Ian. Tough to see it, man.
Mulligan.
But he was like right on the cusp of getting dropped. I might even have a replay of it a little bit earlier. Hickford gets dropped by Bird now on a downhill. Dave, this is insane. The amount of effort being thrown into the speeds on the downhill here. And this is making the race.
Yeah. Here I live in Colorado, and we just had a runaway truck. The brakes go out in the mountains of Rocky Mountains of the trucks, and they are incredibly dangerous. They come flying down. They have runaway truck ramps. We almost have to have our Zwift engineers put a runaway bird ramp out here when he's going that fast on the descents. This guy is like a runaway semi with his brakes on fire. It's insane. This is a replay now of Ian Mulligan.
Trying to get back on. I think the camera will get it just enough here. There's a little clicking around here, but you can see that little gap. Look behind the wheels right here, right before I go to Bruce. Right there. You see the gap? 86, 87. Now watch how fast the seconds go out.
Look at that
Mulligan
speed.
backs off just a little bit, and boom, 8 watts per kilogram, but it's 1 second. You see 13, 14, boom, 2 seconds, it's gone. He's doing 8 watts per kilogram. Everybody ahead of him is at 0 right now. That's how fast you can lose a wheel in ZRL on a descent like this. Insanity. His race is over as far as being anywhere near that top, I think it was 8 riders now because of this.
Innsbruck is beautiful, but it's rugged. And this is going to be the last 6.2 kilometers of racing, relatively flat. Now, when you talk about the leg snapper, there are folks that look at the leg snapper as a mega climb. Bruce Bird basically flexes and is over the top of it. It's not that long.
Look at Samuel looking to come across here, Dave. And Bruce, this is the cool thing about Bird, is this is a guy who puts his head down and says, until you're within 5 meters of my wheel, I'm all in. He just doesn't stop. Carl is here, but he's a minute 9 back here at this point. Still on recovery. Yeah. He's still definitely on recovery.
Just want to give him a shout out.
Big build back.
It sure is. Just to be racing at this level is incredible, Caleb. So keep it up. We're going back to the front of the bike race, the Tête de la Course. And this is Bruce Bird. Bruce Bird, Nathan, is going to have some company. How about Travis Samuel here, the Canadian on Wahoo La Colas? He's going to link up. This is massive. You can see that group not all that far behind, however. I have a feeling that N.XNL is going to be leading them up here in just a moment. And wouldn't it be funny if I had a whole bunch of backstory like on him?
On this rider only? Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, and XML.
Neil.
Anyways.
Neil, his name is Neil. I'm seeing, at least according to
Zwift
Power.
Oh, okay.
According to Zwift Power. They only got 5 seconds. So
I'm going to jot that down.
Riders behind here are super interested in chasing them down. He's got 68 races, level 30 Zwifter. Neil?
Warren Muir is there. He's a very strong rider. Actually, if you take a look, Tim Rugg, as we mentioned, that's a mega group. Ian Mulligan tucked right in with
Mulligan's actually back. He's still back. He got dropped on the down. Yeah.
I was going to say tucked in between Burke and Carlisle there. Okay, so Ian Mulligan didn't catch a break out there today with Abscape Finesse Rider. This is Neil. And that's going to be Travis Samuel here, the Frattori. Was there an Italian Wahoo La Cola edition that he rode for? I'm going to have to look up what Frattori is all about. These are the points as they've been distributed up till now. FAL is first across the line. That's straight up sprint, distributed 10 on down to 1 for fastest through segment. There, it starts at 20, then works its way down to 1, but the distribution is 20, 15, 10. On down. So Hickford there having a great start.
A little bit of a jump here coming from
Brett Hickford.
Right over the top. Right over the top here. Look at this. They make the catch and just jump them here. Bird now maybe on the back foot as he put down a massive amount of effort here. And Neil now jumps, but now it's going to be Carlisle here.
Aforementioned the Snapperoonie right here.
It looks
like Rugg's going to go for it.
Yeah,
is XML Yeah, well, so Tim Rugg is a former professional rider who's got, oak tree legs, that's for sure. You can see Brett Hickford, who's been the rider of the day so far, the Australian there for Coalition. He's the one trying to respond. Warren Mir, Bruce Bird. Let's see what we've got now, because he makes the turn. It's going to be the dash to this bonus sprint and then finish. Oof, interesting, Nathan.
Is Rugg all in on this? I wonder. It looks like he's
I
going to
have
go
to think of
for
the
it.
same thing.
2 seconds.
He's not afraid.
No, and Carwell's
not
off the
afraid.
back now at this point.
Oh.
XML is extensible markup language. Just so you know, it's a coder's language.
That's just
similar to
I'm not even
HTML.
kidding. I was going to ask you that. I wasn't sure how to ask that, but thank you for the answer.
It's a powerful way to store data in a format that can be stored, searched, and shared. So XML, he's storing data right now. It looks like in wattages.
Storing watts.
He's
Yeah.
storing watts.
Hey, is Rugg racing for? Yes, he is. Wahoo LaCole. So don't mind the jersey. He's a Wahoo LaCole out here today. What is he in? Purple People Eater kit. That looks like my friend Patrick Caro's Go Faster. Holly Breck used to ride for that team. That purple. But that's a bit of his own kit. I'll put it that way.
Rugg 6.9 watts per kilogram continuing.
I heard
And
you're going to be
this
wearing an
is
Alzheimer's jersey.
This weekend, yeah.
Speaking of purple kit, yeah, that looks like an Alzheimer's jersey, actually, that purple color. Love
Now,
what they're
little
all
question
about.
here. This situation here, Bird is doing the work for who? Mir? Maybe for Warren Mir here at this point. WLC, though, they've got 2 riders. So they're just going to sit. So that's why. He's on the front and going, okay, fine. They've got one off the front. I'll put the work in for my teammate. Hickford's now making the chase. They're looking to try and grab some points, maybe even the race win. Rugg off the front still. Mir now responding at 13 watts per kilogram, seeing exactly what's going on, and he had plenty of kick left in the legs here. Goes across to his teammate. They're going to drop the rest of the WLC team, it looks like now, and try and continue on. Coalition still involved right to the line for those points. I think Mir does take down the points there between them. Rugg off the front by still 5.7. Do they stop? It looks like they don't got a lot to work with still.
They've only got 1.9K. I got to give it up. Coalition wishes that all the courses were much harder, don't they? It seems like the tougher the course, the better Coalition does. I think that if you don't get on the case right now, you're watching this one roll away. Tim Rugg has got
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree there 100% because he just continues on with the speed. 50 kilometers per hour versus 47 now. The kick from Bird, though, is going to be some trouble, but he may just go across solo because I'm not sure there's a lot of matches left in the legs behind here.
Boy, again, it shows you the depth of this group because I would have said Tim Rugg gets this one every damn time. But he's going to have to fight tooth and nail, Nathan. But you can see how they're not just shutting it down. Oh, man, this is where you really find out what bike racing is all about. But Bruce Bird might be the only guy that catches him. Bruce Bird might go by him and win solo here at this point. Bird on the move.
Up the road, Dave. 2 up the road. And Wahoo LaCole at this point, I think, and as well as Draft have said, it's between you two. We're not going to chase our teammate and allow Coalition to jump on. Now Bird here, it's up to them if they want this back, and it won't get back.
Well,
this
watch Brett Hickford.
Section.
Hickford is another rider with tremendous ability, but Bird latches on. Now, does he use this as like a base camp? And no, he's just going to try to go by. He actually really shows a little finesse and I think some smarts there. Like any Bird, this one's a killer. He's got up onto the wheel. Now he's going to try to draft off of Rugg and use him as a launch pad here. These two, but it's tenuous, Nathan. Well, actually, is it tenuous? You tell me. Is it 7 seconds?
They're gone. They're gone. It's not even it's not even 1,000 meters at this point. 700 meters, 600 meters now, and it's a heads up sprint now at this point. Who goes first? Who gets the draft? And they're really leaving it late. 300 meters. It's really whoever kicks first. And Bird's going to go first here. Rugg's really late to the jump. 10 watts per kilogram. I think Timothy Rugg just doesn't have anything left in the tank compared to a 12 watt per kilogram kick from Bird and Bruce Bird. It's a long time since I've seen the Bird take the win. And he does it. Bruce, wow, what a savvy ride. And he earned it out there today, definitely. Carwell now trying to come over the top from WLC, but I think Mir's going to get the better of him. No, it's going to be Coalition. Then Mir, followed up by WC. Hickford next. And a whole lot of sprinting still to come here. Ian Mulligan Poor guy, if he doesn't get to the line before this next group behind him after getting dropped in the downhill. I saw him in chat saying that he was heartbroken over what happened there. As Mulligan pushes a 4.4 watts per kilogram, he's going to hold on to his 18 seconds. But what a move by Bruce Bird. Really cagey ride. Smart ride as he got to Timothy's wheel, waited for the right moment, and I think Rugg just didn't have anything left in the tank after the attack over the top of the leg snapper. I mean, he was out front forever.
Pretty understandable, to tell you the truth. He made a huge effort. Bird just timed it and showed patience and experience. Both of those guys, a good example of the quality that we've had racing out here tonight. What a season. Congratulations, everybody, men and women. Ian Mulligan's a great guy, great example, Nathan, of our community and the quality of the people that make up this group. So nice to follow him home to finish up season 6 of ZRL. He's on Absgay Finesse, presented by Wolf. So WTRL.racing, we'll have results for you, but you can always go there if you want to race or learn more. We've got a lot to talk about with upcoming races, the finals, what's coming up for all of these competitors as we are wrapping up regular season, and this one is done and dusted. It's been really, really fun. This course certainly going to be a favorite for a select elite group of climbers and the Uber FTP athletes out here.
What if Carl could take a sprint here? Usually Kyle doesn't have the kick against the top sprinters. He may have something here, though. 1.6, 1.5 as he sits in well. They're not very interested. Well, look at Carl, though. Goes into 14. Wow, he does have a kick still. And I think he's got the gap. Condor's trying to come around. Not going to happen. Carl takes it down. Flores.
He is back, baby.
He is
You're going to have Caleb Carl by the next time we line all these guys up. Caleb heals so quickly. He's like those lizards that grow back their tails. You know, I mean, it's just like insane that like 2 months later, the tail is back. Well, Caleb Carl's back. He's been through a lot.
He has been through.
Not saying he's a lizard.
More than most.
More than most. More than most. Yeah.
Not saying he's a lizard.
Well, we're not done, are we? Are you ready to do this again, Nathan, with Kate Bates and
done.
America's West?
No, I'm just kidding.
You're going to call it off? We're kidding, of course. It's been a fun season. Jumping right in here with our A women. Note the number of Canadian flags. Oh, Canada up there with the maple leaf in your top 4 spots with Riot taking it today. Congratulations, Claire Cameron. It's going to be on the Rivet Cinderellas with silver medal winner in an impressive ride and season from Renat Blushka. Third place day going to Megan Rathwell, another Riot rider, defining what Riot's been all about for the last 3 seasons, the 21-22. Natasha Elliott for Wahoo Lacole America's spirited ride from Natasha today for 4th place, the American Rachel Lieberman, ATP Racing Stingers in 5th. Judy Ann Park impressed us, Cryogen Gallopin rider in 6th. Carly Johan, Sisu Dews, her team. And the American finishes in 7th. Another American, Sarah Bishop, for On the Rivet Cinderellas in 8th. Meredith Moran in 9th. She's with ATP Racing Stingers. We were watching that battle out there today for 2nd place on the season. Sisu Racing Royal City with Carly Somerset. Rounds out our top 10 for America's East Women Division 1As. Let's take a look at the Bs, Nathan.
I want to speak to something real quick. We will. Just 1 second. They did it. They did it. ATP Racing Stingers.
Holy
it looks
moly.
like. This is preliminary. It is preliminary, but according to the updated right now.
No, they're drafting a press release right now.
ATP Racing Stingers take down Wahoo Lacole. Karina Escueda, whatever happened there, that may have been what it was, too. We'll see. Man, too bad to see on that front. But that is the current situation as it is preliminary. Back in with the results, though, in the B category, it is going to be Tammy Spalding, WTRL Dinos, B Juicers, followed up by Nicole Zurich for the Wahoo Lacole America's West B1. Alicia Trevino, Megan James, that's going to be the Dinos, followed up by Cecil Racing Girl Freya. Megan Hill in 5th for the WTRL Dinos. Stacy McCudden for Wahoo Lacole America's West B1. Summertime for the Dutch Diesel Cycling Kirkland Signature. Stephanie Laveneur in for the 8th place for Les Watts sisters, JZQ. C. Bakaniak it's going to be Erin Toffel for the Herd of Butterflies and Virginia Lupe for HB Honeybees, bringing it in for 10th place.
The best kind of bees of all, the honey ones. All right, let's take a look at C, women, and it's Saskia Hope for Coalition Eclipse taking the win. In front of Africa Battle, ATP Racing Hive is the Americans team. It's Ashley Maxwell for Coalition Eclipse in third. We've then got Fiona Hall finishing fourth place for AHDRL Cherry Bombs. Fifth going to Lauren McMurtry for ATP Racing Hive. Velocity represented here, but it's five Americans in a row, four more with Beth York in sixth, Amy Mundasev in seventh for Fearlessly. It's nice to see No Drama Llamas up there with Dawn Forbes. Dawn is a team captain there for the Llamas. Diane Maurer in ninth for ATV Racing Hive, and then Annik Bellinger for WTRL, the Dinos, the Cyclosaurus edition, the Canadian there in 10th. So that's our C's, Nathan. I don't know if there is a D's for America's East women.
No,
There's
I do
not.
not believe so. I do doesn't seem to.
Someday there will be. Someday there will be. It could be
Remain
you.
result- could be you. It could be.
Could be.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's going to be me.
Beautiful Innsbruck.
It probably won't be me.
So-
but
It probably won't be me either, but maybe we would know someone. It's certainly that I wonder where we see the most growth. I have to think it probably is in that women's D category. New people getting on Zwift. You mind if I take the A's here, Nathan?
yeah, go ahead.
All right. It was Bruce Bird taking the win. The Canadian for draft. They had a great day. Timothy Rugg, good to see Timothy back. Wahoo Lacole America's rider in second, taking the silver. And it was N.XML, Neil. Good job, Neil. Coalition Frenzy rider, taking the bronze medal. Take strong ride. Warren Muir, draft A in fourth. Steve Carwile is fifth place today for Wahoo Lacole America's. Coalition Frenzy has two more riders up here with the Australian, Brett Hickford. Jean Seville is Jean Seville in seventh for Coalition Frenzy. Travis Samuel, eighth for Wahoo Lacole Americas. And then AF Atmosphere has two riders. We talked about Ian today. Great job, Ian, holding on for a top 10 in ninth. And Tom Burke in 10th. That's the A's. Back to you, Nathan, for the B's.
In the B category, Christian Deschines comes through for Mo Foss, CC Lewep Brothers, JZQC, Gustavo Solis for the Gavia 88 Academy, Esteban Burford for Gavin 88 Academy as well. Then it's going to be Jeremy Vacon for Mofos CC Lewat Brothers, JZQC, David Hansen for ATP Racing Lithium in the B category for fifth, Elaine St. Louis for Most Foss CC Watts Brothers JZQC, Eric Johnson VCRT Coyotes in seventh, Andrew Sidor for Team F3BE2. It's going to be Jordan Bell for the AHDR Troopers and Eric Chin for Crew B CRW or Crew. I think it's maybe B Train coming on through though, and for the B category in 10th place. Some of the C categories are still out on course. We've got 1 hour to the start of the broadcast of the.
Before I forget,
Yep.
I want to give a shout out to the Gavia 88 guys, Nathan. I'm going to ask you, you're so great about this. So if you look in Google, type in Hampston, Andy Hampston won the Giro in 1988. This was the Gavia, where it snowed. And he was one of the riders that on that day, it was one of the most famous days of racing of all time. You can see the riders with, there's 3 or 4 inches of snow on the ground, and everybody, what they had to go through to finish is what defines what bike racing is all about. And that's the Gavia climb. So that references a team name. We love the creativity. I didn't want to let that one slip by. So I learned what .xml is today. Data storage extraordinaire.
Yeah, it's a markup language. It's a markup language.
Yeah,
if you
markup language. See, I don't even know what markup means. So that's where we're at here on this end. But now that Gavia Pass is so historic and cool. So what a great team name. And they had a good day.
They did. Well, everybody, head on over to WTRL for the rest of the results for the America's East. America's West coming at you with Kate Bates and Dave Towle in just a little bit. And great job to everybody out there. It's a tough course. We've seen a lot of reports coming on through. Really appreciate all of the social media interaction. Hit those follow buttons, subscribe, as well as turn on your notifications. Comment helps out the channel a ton. We'll see you in an hour for America's West. As always, everybody, right on.